In this weekly Power City live stream, we're going to be chopping it up, all things Pulse Chain. We're going to be talking about the latest in the DeFi and crypto world. Things are pumping, and I'm joined by someone who's only here, my good friend, who's only here ever for the tech. Back on the stream, Mr. Fast Abdul in the house.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me again.
Thanks for coming back on, man. I know you're a busy man. I think this is your third stream today. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. I just got off with Maddie and Crip and Crispy Man. And earlier today, I was on with Triplet Dad. We're just trying to do a weekly news stream. I think Jesse's been on there a couple times, or once he has anyway. Yeah, the regular scheduled streams. I like the scheduled streams. It's easy to plan your week around it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to get that. I mean, consistency for yourself as a content creator, and obviously for the audience. As we know in crypto, a lot of people come out of the woodwork or make content when everything's mooning, right? It's easy to do that. But obviously in bear markets or in times where the market's going sideways, still need to be making content, still need to be getting the word out there about Pulse Chain, great protocols like Earnflex, Ink Printer, all that jazz. But at the time of talking, let me add this to the screen, Bitcoin nearly at 107,000.
Yeah.
Up quite a bit. Ethereum's back, looking quite stable around 2,500. Things are looking bullish. How are you feeling?
I feel pretty good about it. I think, between the things that the government's saying, between the things the market's doing, and the sheer numbers, like 107,000 is not the all-time high for Bitcoin, but it feels like it's going to make a new all-time high to me. Not financial advice, and I'm not even a chart guy, but that's the feel, as people are starting to get bullish on crypto. Do you have people asking you about crypto you maybe haven't heard from in a while, Matt?
Yeah, there is people. It's funny, I was hanging out with some friends. I met some friends of friends the other day, and people are starting to, because people say, this guy is into crypto and what's not, and I lost some money in 2021 or 2017, but now it's time to, obviously it's back in the zeitgeist again, and people are getting interested. It's obviously not at fever pitch, but the fact that it's back in the mix, I'm getting that feeling that I really feel that crypto going back to over 100,000 for Bitcoin, and it looking quite stable. It's now finding a new level. That's very bullish. We've seen, let me just pull this up. We've seen, this isn't crypto, but stocks have been rallying recently too, which is good, right? As we know, legacy finance and crypto is kind of in lockstep now. So stocks have been rallying, crypto's rallying. We've got, to go from Ethereum at the beginning of this year at nearly 4,000 all the way down to 1,500. And it's made quite the run in the last few weeks, back to 2,500. I think it hit 2,700 at one point. So I'm really happy that we're finding kind of support at these levels, and that's also crossing over into the Pulse Chain ecosystem. We've seen Hex is nearly at a cent. Let me grab this. So Hex is up. Everything's up. Obviously, when crypto's up, everything flows into everything. Ink is nearly at $2, right? Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, nearly back at $2. I think it's $1.93 right now, or something like that. So that's great. $1.93, $1.94. And it dipped quite a bit this week. Of course, it has less liquidity than most of the other Richard Heart tokens, so it can move up or down quicker. But there was definitively a dip down to a much lower number. So nice to see it recover that quickly.
Yeah, it is nice to see all the Richard Heart blue chip assets be in the green. As you know, I'm not. We will try and divorce our emotions from the markets, but it's nice to see green days and continuous green days. We've got the Ink Printer up here running flawlessly on the screen at the moment. We can see Ink nearly at $2, and also Prince had quite the pump, right?
Oh, Prince had a huge pump. There was basically in one day an 80% pump in the price. I think people probably heard the announcements about the improvements, and they're trying to front run that. They're also I can tell that just from action on chain that they're jumping into some of the farming options, right? So there's farming for print on 2Fox, as well as right on the protocol. If you scroll down there a little bit, Matt, we can see the print farm is still paying a decent chunk.
Yes. So this ink and dye LP farm, right?
Well, ink and dye, but right below that is print to ink.
Oh, print.
That one's
ink.
actually paying the most. So like, yeah, wow. 76% to farm print to ink. And that's the main liquidity pair for print is against ink. So of course, when the price of ink pumps, the price of print also pumps due to Hart's law.
Yep. What's bonded together, right? It's going to pump together. So we've got nearly 77% there. For people who want to obviously take advantage of this, they're going to have to provide liquidity, right? On PulseX, take the LP token.
Liquidity on PulseX is where that is. And then they just stake their LP token via the ink printer front end.
And make hay while the sun shines, right? I mean,
indeed.
Ink is still, is it even 2 months old? You know,
ink printer? We're running to about that. We'll be a little over 2 months, but not by much. It's it's pretty new, and there's still millions of dollars locked in the protocol. Seems to be running very strong. The token price, the APRs. Scroll up. Let's see what the APR is for single-threaded staking of a stablecoin.
So in the stability pool, right?
In the stability pool, yeah. So
we've got 55% at the moment.
55% single-sided of a stablecoin, which is, in my opinion, is pretty good. You don't see that very much as far as stablecoin APRs. And I feel like it's secure, right? Like this is a full liquidity fork and with immutable code. So like, yeah, if it says 55, it is 55. You're getting paid that in the print token. But also if there's any liquidations in the system, the stability pool stakers also get a piece of the ink if there is a liquidation. We haven't had too many liquidations lately, but it's happened before. It could happen again. And it is nice to get that little bit of ink when there is a liquidation.
And let's not forget, that's not 55% in just a dollar amount. You're getting another token, which you can stake and get more yield on top of that.
You could get the print token. You can stake to get ink and ink dollars, right? And that pays on the daily, right? Like whenever somebody mints in ink dollars, print stakers get a piece of that. And whenever somebody redeems ink dollars to get like $1 ink is redeemable for $1 worth of ink, the print stakers get a piece of that. So it's ink and ink dollars. You get paid to stake print, which you could get for free by participating in the stability pool. So it's a nice little yield loop. It works really well. We can see why, these liquidity forks are so popular on Pulse Chain as well as on other chains. It's been forked about 40 times now. And it's going great so far. But that pump in APR is due to the pump in the price, right? So when the price went up by 80%, then the APR on things like the stability pool also go up by 80%. So think, Matt, what would happen, if the price of ink, let's say, goes up to $20 and pulls up the price of print along with it, or if the new ink printer upgrades that we're pushing out right away, if they pump the price of print up substantially, then those APRs for things like single-sided staking of stablecoins will also go up proportionately to the price of print. So it'd be pretty cool if there was a 10x on the price of print and that resulted in a 10x in the APRs for single-sided staking of a stablecoin. I think 500% APR on a stablecoin would probably get some people to participate with the protocol.
Might get a few, right? Might get a few, 500%, rather than keeping it in your wallet. And what's great about these liquidity forks and Flex, liquid loans, ink printer is obviously we know the main function. You're locking up your collateral, your crypto, you're taking a loan against that. But there's so many other ways to interact with the protocol, as we can see, stability pool, staking pool. At the moment, these LP farms, which are not going to be around forever, and are paying out 76%. And then you've got 55% in the stability pool. So yes, you can use any of these protocols to take a loan and do what you want with that, with these stable coins, which we're going to get into in a second, how they're just staying stable, all of them. But also, if you don't want to do that, you can interact with the protocol in a even less riskier way, right? So to say, by getting some ink D and putting it in the stability pool, buying some print.
You could open a vault to get it, but you could also buy it off the market. And I've had people ask that before. Do I have to open a vault to get ink dollars? No, you don't. Like you can buy it. And if you ever see it on sale, even if it's just a tiny sale, and maybe we even have a tiny sale right now. Yeah, 98.93 cents. There's not a huge sale there, and you won't see a much bigger sale than that, in my opinion. But like, if you can buy it for less than $1 and then you can stake it and make 55% APR, that's that's not a terrible move, and you don't have to take any sort of leverage risk or anything like that to participate with the protocol. And then you get the print token for free that you could stake to get ink and ink dollars. So everything can start with just buying one asset, right? So it can start with buying Richard Hart's ink token and opening a vault to get ink dollars rather, or it can start with just buying ink dollars off the market, or buying print off the market if that's what you prefer. And you don't have to participate in a huge elaborate yield loop, which is kind of my game. Like, I have like 19 things going on all the time. There's things on $2 with the print token. There's things here. Soon we're going to have the staked print contract by tomorrow, ideally, available to everybody. So you'll have liquid stake print tokens to earn in other farms. And then we're going to have the Hocus Pocus farms that give people an additional token, the Incinerator token. So like, if that sounds too complicated to you, just pick one.
Well, listen, more options is better than less. So whether you want to play it very simply, whether you want to be juggling lots of things like whatever tickles your fancy, you can do it. And as we talked about, we've got these stable coins. We can see INKD just as a hair below $1. The same with the Flex protocol, which is now on screen. We can see HexDC 99.8. Earn protocol, let's just share this, PXDC 99.5. So
they're all working.
All these liquidity forks work. They provide value to the chain. We've got these native stables for Pulse Chain, and me and Jesse were talking about this, that obviously we have bridged and stable coins like USDC, DAI, USDT, but we want at some point Pulse Chain to become like the Ethereum chain, right? We've got bridged in stables into other chains, because they know that these stables are backed, they're legit, they're not like Luna or anything else, which are not backed. They know that they can always be redeemed, and therefore people can see the value in them. So, now that we've got Ink Printer along with Earn, Flex, and Liquid Loans, all those four are covered. It's a good time to be in Pulse Chain, right? Totally.
Yeah, and I think the fact that like we have these stable coins that address something that actually came up on Maddie's show is what somebody said, like, what happens to my USDC when I bridge it to Pulse Chain? Like, what happens to the USDC? Is it ported to Pulse Chain? The answer is no. It ends up living in the bridge contract, right? So, which I believe that to be a very safe bridge. It's, the one put out by Richard Hart, but there's still what they call bridge risk. And that's one of the things that, big guys who are moving $10 million, $20 million to Pulse Chain, they're going to be concerned about such things, even if the risk is very small. So with these native stablecoins that live on Pulse Chain that can be redeemed on Pulse Chain rather than redeemed on Ethereum, like USDC and DAI, for example, you're not incurring any bridge risk at all. So more the merrier, and like clearly they work. We have 3 examples here that are all very close to $1. Sometimes they're a little bit over $1. I saw $1.02 ink dollar this week, not for very long, because obviously somebody's going to capitalize on that, but it does happen. And then even liquid loans, they tend to be very consistently right around $1, because there's instant redemption options online to help push them to $1. People are incentivized to do it. The system works.
It does. Time tested. Talking about the system, talking about Ink Printer, we know that there's some upgrades right just around the corner. Some exciting upgrades.
We're going to have the S-Print contract live very soon.
So
here, let me share a screen here. We can take a look. I got my demo wallet up, not the one I'm sharing here. I'm going to stop that one. So this is what's going to be live for people as soon as tomorrow.
Okay. Wow. So just around the corner.
Can you see that, Matt?
Yes. Let me remove this and then add your one. Yeah. Here we are.
Okay. So this is just on testnet here, but basically we can see it looks exactly the same as what the ink printer screen looks like. So we got the 55% APR on print, etc. All the boxes that people understand. So for people who use the protocol, they're going to recognize everything. There's not going to be any changes to the core mechanics, except for we're adding this one extra box. So there's going to be the liquid staked print option, right? So you can S-print. You can get S-print to participate in zero and permanent loss farms. Convert print to S-print and redeem anytime at a 1-to-1 ratio, right? So people can press the convert button, right? They can put in the print that they have, and then they can just convert it to being S-print via the protocol. And then once they have S-print, they can convert it back at any time to just be print. All right. So it's a 1-to-1 conversion. There's no fee on the conversion aside from the pulse fee to do the transaction. It's an immutable contract. So, it can only move what's there. And so nobody can convert ahead of you and take your funds or anything like that. I believe it to be safe. It is completely audited, and it had perfect marks as far as that audit went. So, so far, so good on that. But the big thing is going to be if people participate with it, they're going to be able to convert that to S-print, and they're going to be able to farm S-print versus print. Initially, we're going to have that on Fox and 2Fox. That'll be live tomorrow. Votes go through tomorrow afternoon. But they can, farm without impermanent loss, which is great. And if people choose to farm there, then the print that they put in is still earning ink dollars and ink, but instead of them getting it, because they're getting Fox and 2Fox as a reward instead, it's going to use that ink and ink dollars to buy S-print off the market and burn it, thus increasing the price of S-print and print, which are effectively the same things. So you can see here, I just converted 10,000 print tokens into S-print tokens, and I can now redeem them if I wanted to. So I can redeem my S-print balance and get my print back in my wallet. So it's as simple as that. So there's not there's not like a 2-week wait. There's no locking period.
So with your S-print, you can go over to, there's going to be a pause and 2Fox, you said.
You bet. Here, let me see if we can find the appropriate farms. Sorry, I was working on something else here. Let's find the...
You working on many things at one time? Never.
Only several different protocols and so on and so forth. So this is the voting page for the Fox Exchange, and so we can see the votes. They're now in. They take effect on Wednesday, and we can see that the top 3 pools. So there's a Tetra pool, a Fire Whale pool with Solid X, and then the S-print factory pool has the 3rd most votes. So that's a good indication that there's going to be a decent amount of a yield being paid to this pool. Now, those votes haven't gone through yet, so the yield is not yet applied. But people will just be able to come to this in Fox, and they can add liquidity right here. And they'll just add, it's 80% S-print, 20% print, and they can add it into the pool. And then once they've done that, then they can go over to 2Fox, and they'll be able to stake that token. I have the S-print farm already set up there. There we go, S-print factory. And they'll just be able to add their liquidity here, the LP token, to get to max effect. And considering how much the other pool, the RH laser printer pool, was paying 236%. Oh, where we go? 180% now. So we're likely
only
to see
only 180% now.
Well, 180. Something must have gone down. But yeah, it's we're talking triple digits. I think we're going to see that with the S-print farm, except for with no impermanent loss. This is a great farm too, the RH laser printer farm. It has print paired against Hex and Pulse X, Pulse and Ink, so all Richard Hart assets. So we'll keep that as a thing, because obviously these are all good things. But there's a potential that you'll suffer impermanent loss, because these things will move up and down separate from each other to some degree. Yeah. Obviously, they're all connected. But when we have the farm that's just print tokens in one shape or another, then there'll be no impermanent loss. It's 80% S-print, 20% print, and one S-print is always redeemable for one print all day long, every day, just via the inkprinter.com front end. So I think this is going to be a good opportunity for people to avoid impermanent loss, which right now, as we move into what I believe to be the bull market, not financial advice, is pretty important.
So that ratio stays in the pool, always be 80% S print, 20% print.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So it basically it's set like like a regular V2 pool, except for instead of 50-50, it's 80-20, and it will always be 80-20. There could be some small arbitrage opportunity there. Like if you ever see S print trading at a lower rate than print, or vice versa, like there's, there is some arbitrage opportunity that's going to generate fees. But for people participating in the pool, it's relatively low risk, since there is that immediate instant redemption option via the ink printer front end.
And for someone who wants to use this pool, do they have to deposit? They can deposit just one token, or they have to deposit that ratio of S print?
I suggest they deposit that ratio, right? Because there might be some slippage otherwise. But since they're like, if you have 10,000 print in your wallet, like, that you need, like, okay, I have 10,000, well, I need 8,000 S print and 2,000 print. Just go to the front end and convert 8,000 print to be S print, right? On inkprinter.com. It will be as simple as that.
So let's just play another scenario. Let's say I've just woken up and I've got 100,000 print tokens, right? And I'm like, do I stake them in the staking pool in the protocol, or do I convert them to S print? Now, not financial advice. Everyone's situation is different. What are the the pros and cons of each?
Well, I think when we take a look at like ink printer and just staking them directly, like you have that option. When you do that, you're going to earn ink and ink dollars, right? So, which is like, obviously, like, people want ink and people want dollars. Like, that's not a bad option. But when you look at the total APR, I do believe that it's likely that the S print farm is going to show the higher APR out of the two. And APRs are pretty important, because the bottom line is, like, if you're getting a higher APR but in different tokens, you could always sell those tokens and use it to buy ink if that's what you wanted. But to be a little bit of everywhere, like on Pulse Chain, the fees are so low that you could have, like, let's say you had $15,000. Well, you could have $15,000, $5,000 converted to S print farming there. You could have $5,000 staking print directly inside the protocol, right? Making ink and ink dollars. You could have $5,000 in the stable coin directly, making print for free there at 55% APR. So, like, if you're only paying like 5 cents per transaction, the idea of being in 3 places at once and being able to capitalize on any one of them having a particularly good day or good month, I think is probably not bad. But the truth is, this S-Print thing is going to change the way things look dramatically. And the more people that participate, I believe the more positive impact it will have on the price of the print token, since that's what the S-Print contract does, is use ink and ink dollars to buy and burn S-Print, effectively taking print off the market permanently.
And I think we touched on this before as well, but there's going to be more places to get yield with print, right? So it will take, if it does take some people outside the staking pool, then the APR for the people inside the staking pool goes up, correct?
Totally, yeah. Especially if there's other places, like, so right now we have that RH laser printer pool is paying 180%. Anybody who has print in there and that pool is 50% print, it means they're not staking their print, right? So they're not. So that leaves the staking yield for single-sided staking your print for other people participating. Now it is a little bit different with S print, because any print that is converted to S print is staked in the protocol. It's just using those fees to do something different. Right, it's using the fees to buy print off the market effectively, right? So it still dilutes the same pool, but we are working to make there'll be more farms, more additional farming options. Hopefully, we'll even have some additional options for ink dollars for farming, so that there is less dilution, and hopefully we can keep these high APRs, right? Because if once the word gets out that, like, oh, this is a place I can go for 50% plus APRs on stable coins. Like, I think we're going to have people flooding in to use the protocol, which of course will create more fees for those who are participating, because every time somebody mints an ink dollar, it goes to print stakers. They get a piece of that, right?
Indeed, indeed. So lots of options coming. So this is going to be live tomorrow, you said, or by tomorrow?
Ideally, yeah, that's the plan. Of course, I have to line some details up with devs and those kinds of things. But the farms that I just showed you on Fox and 2Fox, that vote goes through tomorrow afternoon. So that means that's when the APRs will start to appear. They appear a little bit slowly, but they'll ramp up very quickly. So I didn't want to provide the option until I knew it was, the people could benefit immediately, and they will be able to benefit starting, tomorrow evening, in my opinion.
Awesome. So for those interested, get your print at the ready to convert into S-Print, and then go have fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing how high those APRs are going to be at first, and obviously they'll change over time. But it'll be interesting. I mean, obviously we know that there's some great APRs. I mean, even 55% on your stable coins is great, but looking at some of the stuff on 2Fox, you've got some very high APRs.
I think this will be more in the hundreds of percents, especially very early on. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw extremely high APRs on Fox and 2Fox in the early days, because there's definitely something there. When the pool is smaller, it's going to pay more. So those who get in early are going to be, they're going to be incentivized to participate during the first couple days or first month even. Of course, these things come down over time. Once there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the pool, it's going to pay a little bit less, but it will have the added benefit of by participating, people are effectively making the price of print go up, because that's what that yield is going to. So it's going to be more than one way for somebody to win here.
Awesome. Well, let's looking forward to that. Follow you obviously on Twitter, on X, and in the Telegram, right? What is the Telegram for Ink Printer?
It is Ink Printer Chat.
Ink Printer
Let me
Chat.
verify that, because you have to watch out for fake Telegram rooms. They do pop up from time to time. It is INC Printer Chat. So t.me/INC Printer Chat. That's your place to ask questions. That's where, if you're not sure how it works. However, when you ask questions in public Telegram rooms, on Twitter, anywhere else, there's often scammers waiting to send you private messages to lead you the wrong direction. So just remember that no admins nor myself will ever send you a private message or DM on Telegram or Twitter, and that you can get your answer in public all the time. And just insist on that. If Fast Abdul is DMing you and you want your answer in public, then because it's probably not me, then just say answer me in the chat, please. That's it. If you're not sure. Right. And if you are sure it's not me, block and report that motherfucker.
Absolutely. And on screen now, we can see that handle for the Telegram at Ink Printer Chat. Also, something you were talking about before we got on stream, something about a reserve you were going to educate me on.
Oh, indeed. Yeah. Let me share a different.
Unless there's anything more to talk about with the upgrades and tomorrow.
Well, this is pretty important. I think this might even be more important than the ink printer upgrades. There it is. Okay. So this is the Strategic ETH Reserve. This is the listing website that shows the reserves of ETH for various protocols. They recently updated it. Take a look at the number 2 holder of ETH on this list, Matt.
Oh my days! I wonder who that could be.
Indeed, it's called the Pulse Chain SAC wallet, and you can see that there's the Ethereum Foundation is the big one, and under that is the Pulse Chain SAC wallet, which is above Coinbase. I'm not quite sure what the Golem Foundation is, Gnosis DAO, and then there's a list of who's who that goes on underneath that. But the fact that Richard Hart with the Pulse Chain SAC wallet has substantially more Ethereum than Coinbase has, I think is pretty interesting. So when we start talking about those numbers, we have $207,000 Bitcoin and $2,500 Ethereum. When you start to 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the road, and we start to say Ethereum is $7,000 today, and you multiply that by this number, right? 166,303 Ethereum sitting in that wallet. It starts to be pretty interesting, and speculation should have no expectations, but we can speculate on what could happen with all that Ethereum.
Well, I mean, that's well, that's over $1 billion itself.
Well over, yeah. Right now it is.
So, I mean, obviously not financial advice. No one's got a crystal ball. Where do you see Ethereum going in this bull run?
I definitively do not have a crystal ball, but I feel like, we were chatting about this earlier. I was chatting with the same Wolf, and he said that like somebody's had their foot on Ethereum's back, keeping it down. And, when they take it off, it's going to go up. So like we have things like ETFs that will be approved for like staked Ethereum, things like that. We have the Ethereum upgrade that allow people to use up to 2048 Ethereum in a validator instead of just 32. Like those are all things that are geared towards big money, right? So and all like there's tons of financial products on Ethereum. All the real world asset stuff tends to live on Ethereum. So I feel like Ethereum is going to have a very good year, and that ratio to BTC is going to change. But even if the ratio didn't change, right? Like the ratio Ethereum to Bitcoin stayed the same, but Bitcoin had a very good year. Let's say goes up over $200,000. Well, that's still around a $5,000 Ethereum. Like to me, that's my worst case scenario of what I think I would see for Ethereum in this cycle. It's going to be something like 5,000. Because I do think we're going to see a much higher Bitcoin than we have right now. And I do think probably that ratio is going to start to slide more in theory in favor of Ethereum as we go on. So to say 5,000 is the minimum, I think is a safe answer. And to like if we do moon math on what it could be, like a $30,000 Ethereum is not the craziest estimation I've ever heard.
Well, for those who know why this is important, the holder of that, he's going to be in profit once he gets past around 3,600,
around 4,000, just or 3,700, something like that.
3,700. So let's be safe. Let's say 4,000. That entity
4,000 is in profit. Yeah,
he's in profit. Also, remember. So what would you do? So let's play some fantasy ETH holdings here. Let's say Fast Abdul, that was you, right? And you hold all that ETH. Would you sell when you hit your target, or would you take a loan via the Liquidity protocol on
interesting
Ethereum?
Option. One thing that I would really like to see, and Richard, if you're watching, because I know you probably are, probably some of that Ethereum could just get bridged to Pulse Chain and used on Pulse Chain. There's farming options on Pulse Chain. There's a fork of Aave, the fiat protocol on Pulse Chain, or it could just sit on Pulse Chain. So people all over the world could look at that giant number of a huge amount of Ethereum that just happens to be sitting on Pulse Chain. That would be pretty cool. As far as like what he could do with it, like I think Richard knows better than me how to trade, and he would probably do things with moderation. I don't think he would make a giant red candle on the Ethereum chart. Like he doesn't hate Ethereum. He likes Ethereum, or he wouldn't have participated with it. So, probably he's going to move some out of Ethereum into other things. The ratio of Ethereum to Pulse Chain now is actually a better deal than when he bought Ethereum at, let's say, $3,700. So it's actually the amount of Pulse you'd get per one Ethereum is better now than it was then, even though both Pulse Chain and Ethereum were much higher at that time. So like he can do it in moderation over a period of time if that's what he was trying to deploy that entire amount. But he certainly could use something like Liquidity on Ethereum to turn his Pulse Chain into his Ethereum into stablecoins without giving up the rights to one day perhaps take that Ethereum back. And if that was the case, if there was a whole bunch of LUSD, the stablecoin for Liquidity on Ethereum, then chances are somebody would make a big ass liquidity pool on Pulse Chain pairing LUSD against all sorts of stablecoins. Making it liquid, making it so that it could just be bridged across and used. I'd make a pair against the Inc. dollar to be sure.
Well, what's great about all the different options you've got, and especially Liquidity is the original one, and obviously Ink Printer, Flex, Earn Protocol, Liquid Loans are all forks of this, and not financial advice. But remember, you rather than selling your tokens, even if you're in profit, you can risk 10% of your bag for infinite upside, right? So let's say you have a target of ink, right? Let's say you have a target of ink, and ink goes back to its all-time high of $80, let's say. And you're like, right, I want to sell because I've done an 80x. I brought $1. But you could, right, use the ink printer protocol, take a loan, not financial advice, but you could have a low collateral ratio, right? Anything above 110% is acceptable in the protocol. And if the price keeps running, well, you can pull more stable coins out behind it, right? If the price dips and you get liquidated, oh well, I risked 10% of my bag for infinite upside.
Totally. It's a low risk leverage compared to most leverage, right? Like if you put in $10,000 and you take out, like I might not go with the maximum amount of 110% collateral ratio, but like, you know, you put in $10,000 and you take out 1,000 and you use that to buy more, either, you know, Pulse if it's liquid loans, Hex if it's Flex, or Pulse X if it's Earn, and of course Ink if it's ink printer, then like you're gonna have a good day if it goes up, because you'll have more of that core asset that you'll be able to claim back just by paying off the initial amount you put in, right? Like if you put in $10,000 and take out $5,000, and then the price 10x's, right? So your initial $10,000 is worth $100,000. You only have to pay back the initial $5,000 to get your $100,000 worth of tokens.
It's true.
So, and if you needed that $5,000, if it made it so you didn't sell, that's the first, you know, the first point for normal people who need normal things. But like if you use that $5,000 to increase your position, right? So instead you put in $10,000, took out 5, took that 5, bought more of that same asset, right, and put it back in, and then you now have $15,000. And if that 10x, you effectively made an extra $50,000. So that's, wow. That's a big difference, right? 50% more. You could make 50% more in that scenario.
What a time to be alive. I mean, even, you know, 5-10 years ago, you didn't have these options in crypto. You don't have to sell, as we've been banging on for quite a while, and things are looking good, right? We've got the bull market seems to be, you know, I mean, I know I don't want to call it too early, but to have Bitcoin solidify over $100,000 now and look quite stable, ETH is back up. We've got the Pulse Chain SAC wallet with the second. I mean, of course, the Ethereum Foundation are going to have the most, right? So essentially,
not by as much as I thought.
And with everything pumping, we've got all these great protocols. We've got the new S-Print options coming tomorrow. Good time to be alive. Exciting times. Indeed.
Exciting times on Pulse Chain.
So thanks a lot for joining us, Fast Abdul, as always. Always just, I know you're only here for the tech. I know you don't care about anything else but the tech. Just here to talk stables and the tech. Where can people find out more? Again, let's just tell them again before we leave where they can find out more about any of the updates for Ink Printer, S-Print, and all that jazz.
So I think the Ink Printer Telegram room, which is t.me/Ink Printer chat, is where you want to get your news first. As far as the website, that's inkprinter.com, incprinter.com, and that's where you can participate should you choose to do so. And then inside those Telegram rooms, you can ask your questions, right? And then just make sure you're talking to the right person when you get your answers.
Awesome, man. Well, all being well, hopefully everything goes live by tomorrow. And if so, if you're free next week, maybe you can come on and we can look at some of those tasty APYs.
Yeah, we should have some good data. We should have APYs up on Fox and 2 Fox, and we should have some numbers for the buy and burn of S-Print, which logically will start out slow, but like it will be happening. So we're creating new buyers every day.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll see you next week, and I look forward to hearing those numbers.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Fast Abdul. Thanks for watching, guys. You can find the links to any of the live PowerCity dApps in the links below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.